After hearing about arcane scrolls, Alan considers buying a few for emergencies. However, when he sees the exorbitant prices, he rethinks his decision. Arcane scrolls are crafted by scroll masters, who are at least of arcane mentor level. Due to their rarity in the Telesia Empire, arcane scrolls are sold at sky-high prices. While Alan has ample arcane energy but can't use advanced arcane spells, arcane scrolls would indeed be useful. If he belonged to a wealthy family that could afford such scrolls, his progress would have been much greater. But as a country boy, Alan finds these expenses unbearable. Moreover, he believes that relying on arcane scrolls isn't true power. Without them, he would be powerless. Unable to afford these expensive items, Alan decides to explore the city to broaden his horizons. Though he's read about many things, seeing them firsthand is far more astonishing. After passing a lavish scroll shop, Alan arrives at a vast square in Carding City. Gigantic statues of Vitar, the deity, stand on all four sides of the square, inspiring reverence. At the center is a massive building with a floating blue flame above it, illuminating the entire area. Duel Hall, it's truly grand, Alan marvels. He knows a bit about duel halls from books. They are arenas where spectators watch matches between practitioners, and the sport is highly popular in the Telesia Empire. Participants benefit by improving their strength and earning substantial gold. If they attract the attention of a noble, they could be recruited, leading to a meteoric rise in status. However, only mid-level or higher arcane mages and warriors can compete in these matches. Alan, not yet at that level, cannot participate. Even to watch, he would have to pay a high fee, which he can't afford. After touring the area and realizing it's getting late, Alan returns to his inn for a short nap and then meditates. The next morning, Alan wakes to the sun streaming through the window, stretches, and begins his morning routine. After a cheap breakfast, he heads to the Western City Gate to meet the other team members. To his surprise, no one else is there. After waiting over an hour, the team leader, Ferry, finally arrives with his double axes. "You're early, little guy." Ferry greets Alan with a smile. The other members soon arrive, but the employer is still missing. Their mission is to escort the employer into the E-level area of Beast Ridge and ensure their safety. While they won't necessarily have to fight, the E-level area, though on the outskirts, is filled with fierce beasts that even beginner adventurers avoid. The Beast Ridge is divided into 7 areas, from the outermost F level to the deadly S level at its center. Alan had spent 4 months in the F level area, once encountering an E level beast, the blue-eyed leopard, barely escaping using his wits. He had fallen off a cliff and spent a month recuperating in a valley, which was protected by an E level water dragon that kept other beasts away. The employer has arrived. Deputy Captain Cradden suddenly spots someone with the Adventure Guild insignia. Alan looks over, curious to see who the daring employer is. To his surprise, the employer is a woman, the same mysterious arcane mage who once saved him with a water arcane spell. She is at least an advanced arcane mage. "Since everyone's here, let's depart," she says in a calm, detached tone, her gaze briefly sweeping over the group without lingering on Alan. The group, especially the young men, are taken aback by her beauty. Though her face is partially veiled, her graceful figure sparks their imaginations, and their eyes gleam with excitement. "Any questions?" the woman asks, noticing their stares. "Oh, no, we're ready. Let's go." Ferry quickly responds, signaling the group to get moving. Alan wants to thank the woman for saving him, but she shakes her head, seemingly wanting to keep her identity as an arcane mage hidden. Alan is puzzled. Why would an advanced arcane mage need protection from low-level warriors? Despite the dangers of the E-level area, she should be able to handle it on her own. The team sets off, with Ferry leading and Crodden guarding the rear. The others take positions on the sides, while Alan and the woman walk in the middle. Alan is struck by the woman's presence. Besides her youth and beauty, she exudes an air of mystery. The pleasant fragrance surrounding her makes Alan slightly dazed as they walk. Though Alan is nearly 13, his adolescent mind can't help but notice her allure. This is his first time being so close to a mature and beautiful woman, making him awkward and self-conscious throughout the journey. At one point, Ferry turns and asks, "Miss Vera, would you like to take a break?" He assumes she might be tired, but she shakes her head. No need, she replies, lifting a corner of her veil slightly, revealing a delicate chin. Alan catches a glimpse and can't help but be captivated by her beauty. He glances a few more times, but when she notices, she looks back at him with an indifferent expression. Embarrassed, Alan quickly averts his gaze, but trips over a tree root. He almost falls, but a translucent arm reaches out and steadies him. Thank you, Alan stammers, his face flushed. The brief contact leaves him flustered, but he manages to regain his balance. The woman nods kindly, a faint smile appearing at the corner of her eye, as if she finds Alan's awkwardness endearing. Alan, despite his rustic background, has developed some manners after living with Derek at Silverglow Academy. Dressed in armor with a one-handed sword at his waist, his years of arcane training give him a mysterious air, making him appear quite gallant. However, his youthful face still bears traces of childishness, which makes him seem cute and a bit foolish in the woman's eyes. As night falls, Fairy announces, "Let's rest here." They have traveled all day and set up camp in the forest, where the chances of encountering dangerous beasts are low. With a woman in the group, tent arrangements become a topic of debate. There are 3 tents, one for 3 people and 2 for 2 people. The men argue over who gets to share a tent with the beautiful woman. Let that arcane mage come with me. Vera naturally knows these men's intentions and decisively rejects them all, choosing instead the younger Alan. It's understandable that she chooses Alan. Vera would never sleep in the same tent with the other hot-blooded men, and as a high-level arcane mage, she generally uses the nights for meditation. Only the young Alan knows this secret, so in this situation, Alan is the lucky one. Upon hearing this, the others look at Alan with great envy. In fact, they are just being unreasonable. They certainly know that this beauty wouldn't choose any of them. "Miss Vera, thank you for saving me that day." After entering the tent, Alan becomes somewhat shy. Seeing her sitting there with her eyes closed, he feels awkward not saying anything, so he speaks up. Vera opens her eyes and, in a hazy state, gently pulls a smile and says, "No need. Why are you here at such a young age?" Seeing her direct gaze, Alan's face reddens, and after a while he answers, "I want to become a strong person. I feel that only this kind of experience will be effective." Hearing these words, Vera is slightly taken aback. Her gaze becomes somewhat unfocused, and she looks at Alan for a long time, seeming a bit absent-minded. "Miss Vera, what's wrong?" Alan can't help but ask when he sees her so melancholic. Vera shakes her head and doesn't speak anymore. Instead, she closes her eyes and enters meditation. Seeing that she doesn't want to say more, Alan obediently closes his mouth. After sneaking a few glances at her, he also closes his eyes, wanting to enter meditation like Vera. However, after a while, Alan finds that he can't get into the state at all. Thinking about such a beautiful woman sitting beside him, smelling her special fragrance, Alan finds it difficult to concentrate, always having some flights of fancy. Alan doesn't enter meditation for the entire night. He occasionally opens his eyes to look at the beautiful woman beside him, sometimes even wanting to use his hand to lift her mysterious veil and see her beautiful face. Finally, it's dawn. Alan hasn't entered meditation all night, so he's not in good spirits. After washing himself with dew again and again, he finally musters a bit of energy and walks softly in the middle of the team. "Kid, can't take it after just one day." The speaker is Fairy. He's walking at the front of the team, but maybe wanting to see Vera again, he turns his head to speak, using this as an excuse. "Just not in good condition." Alan doesn't dare say he didn't sleep well last night, to avoid making Miss Vera suspect him of having ulterior motives. "Kid, you said you stayed in Beast Ridge for almost half a year? You're not lying, are you?" Felton beside him says. Felton is the younger brother of the team leader Fairy, and from their appearance, they should be biological brothers. Fairy wields dual axes, while Felton uses a large sword. Alan pouts and replies, "I've killed no less than 10 F-tier beasts." Vera also turns her beautiful eyes to Alan, seeming to think that this little fellow shouldn't have the ability to survive in Beast Ridge for so long. On the second night, Alan still can't enter meditation. Finally, he simply turns his back to Vera and has a good sleep. He tries his best not to think about the fragrant beauty beside him, trying to turn his thoughts to other things, such as how to better control wind elements, how to concentrate chi faster. Alan has a hard time falling asleep, and when he wakes up in the middle of the night, he vaguely realizes that the back of his hand is touching the outside of the hazy beauty's thigh. Because he has just woken up, he doesn't realize what it is, only feeling that it's very soft and smooth, so he casually rubs it. When he fully wakes up, he realizes that he has unconsciously moved towards Miss Vera. Alan withdraws his hand as if electrocuted, and in the darkness he finds that the beauty's star-like beautiful eyes are staring at him. Alan trembles all over and stammers, sorry, I didn't know that was your. It's not dawn yet. You can sleep a bit more. Miss Vera doesn't seem to mind, saying with a slight smile. For Alan, who only has decent features and is slightly cute like a little pretty boy, women generally won't mind too much if he has some improper actions. Miss Vera doesn't mean to blame Alan. Her eyes even reveal some emotion, just like an elder sister doting on her cute little brother. Vera can be said to be Alan's enlightening teacher in his puberty. Alan is almost 13 years old, and although his thoughts can't be very intense, he's starting to notice the charm of women. It's normal for him to always have wild thoughts, as his spring feelings are budding, which shows that he's gradually changing from a boy to a man. How long have you been practicing arcane? It's already an unknown number of nights, and Vera suddenly stops meditating and says to Alan, who has just entered the meditation state with difficulty. In so many days, this is the first time Alan has truly entered meditation. As a result, before he has a chance to check the condition of his vortex, he hears this heavenly voice and has to retreat, answering seriously, 4.5 years. Are you still staying at second-tier junior arcane mage? Vera continues to ask. She naturally knows that Alan is doing arcane and combat dual cultivation, but when Alan just entered the meditation state, she noticed that the arcane energy in Alan's body is very abundant, seeming not just a second-tier junior arcane mage. Yes, Alan nods. He wants to take this opportunity to ask this great high-level arcane mage for some advice, hoping she can impart some experience to him. Try to gather some wind elements in the palm of your hand, Vera says. In the past few days, when Alan released the Windwalk spell, Vera inadvertently noticed his differences. Just now, she felt the abnormality of the arcane energy in his body, so she asked. This arcane is easy for Alan. In the blink of an eye, Alan gathers a mass of chaotic air currents in his palm. These air currents are well controlled around his palm, without any overflow. Alan raises his head, looking at the beauty through the darkness, wanting to inquire. Suddenly, he feels Vera wave her hand, and abruptly, a ball of firelight rises between them. Alan's eyes are hurt by the suddenly lit red flame. He closes his eyes and adapts for a while before opening them. When he opens his eyes, he sees a slightly warm fireball floating there. The fireball is very small, but it illuminates the entire tent and also reddens Vera's beautiful face. At this moment, Alan seems to be able to see her true appearance through the veil. Fire system arcane, Alan almost shouts out, looking at Vera with a surprised face, stammering, You are a grand arcane mage. Vera doesn't feel anything special, but frowns at Alan and says, Gather it again. Alan is too surprised to concentrate on controlling the air currents in his hand, and they scatter for a moment. When they scatter, the fireball just floats beside, its flame not shaken at all. This fire system arcane that Vera released is the same as Alan's wind system arcane. It's not an arcane skill, just a small trick. But this is enough to prove her identity as a grand arcane mage. I haven't signed a pact with a deity. Although the team leader had told them not to tell others casually about this, Alan feels there's no need to conceal it from Vera, so he says it himself. Haven't signed a pact with a deity? This time it's Vera's turn to be surprised. After discovering the differences in Alan's use of arcane, she just wanted to study it a bit, but didn't expect that he hasn't signed a pact with a deity. When I was in the Arcane Academy, my teacher asked me to sign a pact with a deity, but I failed many times after trying, Alan answers truthfully. Perhaps because this woman saved his life, Alan feels there's no need to hide anything from her. Vera frowns, her eyes reflecting the flames staring intently at Alan. Alan feels uncomfortable being looked at like this.